start. I'm sorry, we just started the recording. The first thing we're going to do is call the November 7th, 2024 meeting for College Curriculum Committee to order at 2:33. And can I have a motion to approve the minutes from October 3rd?
So moved.
Second? All in favor of the minutes from October 3rd, please raise your hand. All right, lower your hands, please. Okay. We're going to start with old business. Can I have a motion to approve item 24-43, which is PHS 200, undergraduate open seminar for physical science? Can I just have a motion to approve, please?
So moved.
Thank you. And we have a second by John Cody. Thank you. Sheldon, could you please present this item for us? A new course?
Yes, the PHS 200 here.
Please.
Yeah, so we've had the BIS 200 for a while now, and we use this for the Plus Lab. So when students are doing research, it's a way to get their research credits in, sort of get 3 credits to do that kind of thing. But it has like a prereq of a biology class, and we're now having more chemistry people and geology people do this kind of work. So it's basically exactly the same course as BIS, except it's now for all the physical sciences. So the syllabus and everything sort of line up the same way the biology one does. It's just the prereq is basically any of the other physical sciences instead of a life science. But other than that, it matches the course we've been doing. We've been having high schoolers come in and take this course as well. So that's one of the other things. We offer that to high school students that want to come and do research in the summer or in the evenings after they get out of school. This is a course that they're taking as well.
Can you tell me what course you're speaking of right now? The course that said you is already running?
The BIS 200.
Okay, thank you. That's what I thought. I just wanted to make sure I understood you properly.
Yeah, so now we have a life science version and a physical science version of this seminar course.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Does anyone else have any other questions on PHS 200? Sorry if you all heard that screeching noise. Susie and I are in the same office on 2 different computers. We're trying to, I don't know why that happened. Any other questions on PHS 200 from the committee or anyone in attendance? In favor of item 24-43, the new course of PHS 200, please raise your hand.
Okay.
Lower your hands. Any opposed?
Ellie's still raising.
Yeah. Ellie, do you have any comments? Okay.
No, sorry.
Okay. Any opposed? All right. That item has passed.
Thank you, everyone.
Moving on to new business. Can I have a motion to approve item 24-44 and 24-45, which are revised curriculum for diagnostic medical sonography? A motion to approve, please.
So moved.
Second? John Cody. Thank you. Revised curriculum for C217E, diagnostic medical sonography, AAS.
Hi, yes, this is Heather. Did you need me to make a comment on that?
The dogs are barking by my office. already.
Okay, I don't know what's going on here. We don't have, I'm sorry if you're hearing this screeching noise. We're trying to. Otherwise, I'm gonna have to just go in the other room, I think. Okay. I'm gonna go in the other room.
Yeah, I don't have anything on.
I have no idea what is happening. I'm gonna just go step in the other room, guys. Give me 1 second. I'll just go right here.
Okay.
That's so weird.
Yeah, go by the table.
Okay.
Yeah. You gotta log back in. Okay.
Okay. Can everybody hear me again?
Yes.
All right. We are going to have presentation of C217E, Diagnostic Medical Sonography AAS, and C317E, Diagnostic Medical Sonography Certificate. Heather, thank you for your patience. If you could please view us on this.
Yes. So for both of these programs, my accrediting body, JRC DMS, they want the description on the website to be verbatim what they want it to say. So I just had to add one small section, not even a sentence, to delineate what the concentrations are. So it's just simply adding the line for the abdominal sonography extended and obstetrics and gynecology sonography concentrations.
Okay. Does anyone have any questions on the updated course description? All in favor of item 24-44 and 24-45, the revisions of diagnostic medical sonography AAS and certificate, please raise your hand.
Antigone?
Sorry, I'm in the lab. Say that one more time.
We are looking for approvals for the diagnostic medical sonography AAS and certificate curriculum descriptions.
I approve. Up. You need my hand.
Okay.
Lower
we're
your
good.
hands. Lower your hands.
Thank you.
Any opposed? Okay, that item has passed. Thank you, Heather. Can I have a motion to approve item 24-46 through 24-48? It is going to be revised courses of chemistry 110, 132, 140.
So moved. Second.
Second, thank you. We have chemistry course revisions due to prerequisites, and it looks like gen ed outcome updates as well as indirect assessment updates. Sheldon?
Julianne, just quick, is physics supposed to be part of this too?
Oh, I mean, I was just going to do the 3 chemistry together and then the 2
Oh, that's
physics.
fine. Okay, sure. Just that's fine then. Never mind.
Just to simplify it for, at least for myself, so I don't get confused.
Okay.
Sheldon,
Yeah.
could you just update us on the chemistry first?
Yeah, sure thing. It's going to be similar for both. This started with conversations with advising and with Beth Dunn of like math has, the way placement classes change stuff, and we just hadn't kept our requirements up to date. They would say like 055 with this grade or that kind of stuff. So this was just a way to sort of use the new classes that they have in math, like 085, and then also with the co-requisites like 031/110 for math. Sort of now that they think of it in terms of these STEM tracks and non-STEM tracks of math, this was to update those classes, which then when we're going through doing an update, I was like, well, we should probably also rethink the gen, just go back, double check the gen ed outcomes,
For sure.
add in indirect assessments that just hadn't been added when these syllabi were first put in there. So there's just some general tweaking that came from, but the prereq change was really what started this.
Okay, and I see Chem 110, it says placement into Math 085 or higher. Chem 132, prereq is Chem 110 or Chem 140. Placement into Math 031, Math 110, placement into Rhetoric 101 or higher. Chem 140, successful completion with 5 years high school chemistry, or Chem 110, placement at Math 031, Math 110 or higher, and placement at Rhetoric 101 or higher.
Yeah, then the part of that was trying to work with advising to like what would make the most sense for them and what would make the most sense for students who are self-advising, like just trying to reword things, because they were, even though they're still wordy, especially like the 140, it was, I would say worse before this. So it's just a little bit clearer for everyone trying to help, because I was having to do waivers all the time because it didn't quite line up what we have. So this is hopefully going to reduce that and let students get into those classes without having to petition me.
Sure. Thank you. Does anyone have any questions on the chemistry? 110, 132, 140? All in favor, raise your hand.
Okay, we're good.
Lower your hands. Any opposed? Thank you. And moving on, we will have a motion to approve item 24-49 and 24-50, which is revised courses of PHY 100, PHY 101, General Physics, Mechanics, Heat, and Sound. Can I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second. Thank you. All right. Do you have anything to add here? We have prerequisites for 100, placement into 085 or higher. We have prerequisites of 101, Math 101, 111 or higher, and placement at Rhetoric 101 or higher, updated instructional strategies, indirect assessment, Gen Ed. Sheldon, do you have anything to add with that?
This is very similar. Again, we were using 055. Now we've upgraded to 085. And then it used to be 114, which we don't teach anymore. So that same content is found in pre-calc instead of, to make sure they're getting that trig experience. So just, again, updating with what the changes have been over there. And then that flagged, we should go just check these other things, update those a little bit more too.
Thank you. All right. Any questions on the Physics 100 or 101? All in favor, please raise your hand.
Okay, we're fine.
Lower your hands. Any opposed? Okay, thank you, Sheldon.
Thank you, everyone.
For the dates and deadlines, the time has passed for the December 5th meeting, although I know a couple people were still working on things. We were alerted to by the deans that we may have a couple more items submitted tomorrow for our last meeting of the fall semester, which will be December 5th. I have the spring semester up there, so if you need to spread the word, January 15th is the submission deadline for the February meeting, which will be the first spring meeting. Going on to other items. We have 3 other items today. The first one is I'm just going to announce the classes that are being developed for online or hybrid. You can see them on your screen right now. 6 online, 4 hybrid classes are being developed. So if you like to look through those, I'm sorry I didn't put the title. That is what is being worked on right now. I'll give you a second to look at that. Programs of study. This was discussed at the last 2 meetings. I'm going to share an update that I received for how it will look in the class schedule that is mailed out. This is different than what we were seeing in the past. You may need to click the plus sign to make this bigger. I don't know if it makes it bigger when I do it on my end. This is an update to the programs of study marketing that will be sent out with the schedule. As you can see, it is organized by, what do they call them? The pillars, the
Yeah, please.
pathways, I'm sorry. By the pathways you can see. We have arts, humanities, social science, business, career tech. And then on the next page, looks like a little bit more career tech, culinary arts, health sciences, human and public services, science and engineering. This was in the packet that was emailed out to you so you could look through it. If you haven't already, you will see the title of the program, and then there's a dot that that will indicate if it's a certificate, AAAS or AAS, and then how many credit hours. Nowhere on this document does it talk about if it's transferable or not transferable. It's just a listing of the programs. Antigone, I'm not able to read your chat right now because I'm looking at the actual screen. So if you could, are you able to speak to what you were wanting?
Yeah, under the other page where it says science and engineering technology needs to be included.
Actually, Antigone, if you look at the first page, could you flip back a page?
I see it, it's there as well, but it actually counts in both areas.
They ran out of space to list everything. You'll see that it says career and technical / science and engineering. All of your engineering is listed there.
Then you want to put in the little logo for engineering there as well. You see how the
Well,
logo
I
on
think
the...
this leads to a bigger conversation. I think Julianne was going to move forward with this.
Oh, there. Okay, so that tiny logo's there. Okay, we're good.
The question is, when we reviewed this, there are programs that were not listed that we had to enter, which means they're not on the website and they're not being pulled off of Colleague.
Gotcha.
Second of all, programs are double listed, and the question is, should they be double listed? Will people find them that way? So I think part of this is about revisiting guided pathways. We're going on our 7th year of guided pathways, and certainly things need to be reviewed and looked at. So I had talked with the deans and asked all the deans to talk with their chair people to look at their websites to make sure, A, they're correct and they're listed, and make sure it's current. We can't assume that once it was, it's going to stay for forever. So that would be one point I'd like to make when we talk about this today. If we could please make sure that everything is correct and everything is current. And if not, we need to make those changes. Julianne, I don't want to take your spotlight away here. I don't know if there's anything else you wanted to say about that.
I think that sums it up pretty well. We need to double check to make sure this is accurate. If it's not, let the curriculum office know. Although when I had to add mine on here several months ago, I needed to talk to, I believe I made a web request to add my, if you see at the bottom here under wellness, I had to add my sport conditioning, sport management. So I made a web request. But contact the curriculum office first with what type of correction you believe needed to be made. And then if it's something simple like adding a program that's not on the document, we may need to do a web request to add that to the pathways page, so that that it is fed from the catalog properly. John, please.
Yes, medical assisting is traditionally classified as allied health. Now, there's a clerical component to that training, But I think it's misleading to identify it as medical administration unless you're using some authority that's identifying it as such.
Which program are you speaking about right now?
Oh, I'm
trying to
sorry,
see
certified medical assistant.
and where is that listed?
That's on page 11. We're looking at it right now. It's right under allied health or health science and
I
allied
see.
health.
Right. Yep. I see it. So you're questioning the title of it, meaning medical administration.
Right.
Okay.
I have credentials in both, and certified medical assistant leans more heavily to the clinical side. Like I said, there's a clerical component, but it's not normally classified as medical administration. It's more typically classified as allied health.
It's neither.
Allied health.
Oh, it is allied health.
Yes.
Okay. I'm sorry.
Although there is a clerical component to the curriculum, it really is, I've never seen it classified as medical administration.
Okay. I don't know how that got put into that area, but we can investigate that.
I suspect that some, whatever reference was being used, they may have classified it as such, but it's rather misleading.
Okay. Well, yeah, you're the expert. So if you believe it's better fit under allied health, we can make that change.
Very good.
Susie, could you please remind me and note that? I think,
I'm looking up the title of the program.
okay.
It's certified medical assistant.
You will find it under medical assisting. That's the general career path.
So Susie, just how diagnostic medical sonography and respiratory care are listed under allied health, that's where that should go as well.
Okay.
It needs to go up a little bit further by surgical tech, but the other thing too, some of these would be nice if they're in alphabetical order. It makes it easier to search quickly too.
I agree with that, yeah.
Okay. And again, this is the first time we're seeing this, so I do expect that there will be some revisions that are requested, and we're not opposed to that. We want to make sure that this is correct. Latrice.
My question had to do with the nursing versus the free nursing. That's on this page. You guys have pre-nursing listed under nursing. That seems to be confusing. If I'm a student, it needs to have some type of explanation because the pre-nursing is with nursing. With our nursing program, you come out being prepared for the associate degree, and the pre-nursing, you're preparing to transfer to a baccalaureate program, if I'm not mistaken. So should that be on professions?
Susie, you may have this answer. I think it has to do with how it's listed through ICCB or within the catalog.
Okay.
I agree with what Latrice is saying, but I think that came from how it's listed in our paperwork.
I would think that
paperwork is under bachelor's, the BS, the BAS degree.
BAS degree?
No, the AS degree. It's listed under associate science, the pre-nursing.
I know, the pre-nursing. So it should be under the pre-professions subtitle, shouldn't it be? Where the pre-dentistry, pre-med, all that?
But
that's
yeah,
where it was once listed before.
How it got into nursing. I didn't do this.
That's where it was listed before under the pre-professions.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. So I don't think we're going to have time for every single individual to offer up their recommendations on where their program should be at this point. But we're asking that you definitely look this over. If I'm not mistaken, I do believe that this is what would be sent out for the spring because the deadline has already passed. However, we will always accept revisions and recommendations on this to continually improve it. So regarding if you find something, email the curriculum office. We will have some individuals look into it. Specifically, if you find that it's missing or you feel it's in the wrong area. I personally am not a big fan of listing it in two different areas, but I'm definitely open to the committee if you have recommendations or opposition to that. I'm not sure which are offered. I was told that some are on here twice. And I'm not sure exactly which ones that is, but I think it's sufficient to have it listed once. Otherwise, it just becomes overwhelming. This is a marketing material. I'm going to tell you, it's being pulled out of the catalog. I don't know where the discussion, I'm going to tell you, no one on the curriculum committee really had input onto the programs of study, so I'm not sure what the conversation was when programs were listed in more than one spot. I don't have an answer for
Leanne, I
that.
think this goes back to when Guided Pathways started and people requested that their programs be listed under 2 different areas. Is Sheldon still on here? Sheldon, I think you were part of those conversations, if I'm not wrong. How we
Yeah,
decided.
went to every department and asked them where they fit, where they feel they fit, and that's sort of what drove this. So it was sort of just a democratically, people got to pick where they felt the most comfortable being once those symbols and once those titles came up with. So yeah, it definitely needs continual updating, and just like everything else.
Yes. I think it's a continual update, as is curriculum in general. Denise?
Hi, yeah, I was gonna test it as well, as I was a part of the Guided Pathways when all this was happening, and it was a twofold. It was requested from a lot of different departments to be on both sides, only because there was an understanding that some students felt that some program was more specific to one area study, but another student would feel like it was to another area study, and so that's why some programs were put in both, because they felt that some students understood it for both, and so it was more about appeasing to the student that regardless if they thought this program was this or if it was that, it was the same program but just shared under 2 different areas of studies. I'm not saying that this needs to continue. I'm just saying the question was, when this was originally drafted, that's why it was
Yes.
a combination.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Shelley? Shelley, I did mute you because of the typing. I just couldn't hear Denise well. So
no problem. I think several people already mentioned where the multiple listing came from. This was the, again, original Guided Pathways work, specifically the Pillar 1 that worked on areas of study. So when those were being created and different programs were being listed in these areas of study, I think to Indigne's point, that's how they were looked at. Where would students be looking for different pathways? So it might be beneficial to list them in multiple areas. But again, as been mentioned, it's been a few years. So can we look at it again? I absolutely think we can. So, looking forward to conversations here.
thank you, Shelley, Denise, for explaining that to the committee. So again, review this, make recommendations. You guys are the experts in the area that you're teaching in, and please, if the deans could share this to others that may not be in attendance, that would be appreciated. Bill.
Yeah, I wanted to speak on that same thing. Sorry, my computer's been slow. I think most of what I was going to say was repeated. I was in that group that created those areas, and we were hitting that up. Me being one of those program areas, we actually surveyed students in the program saying, okay, if you wanted to be a firefighter, what would you look at? Okay, we wanted to be an EMT or paramedic. And when we set it up how the student was going to look at it, not how we were going to look at it. So the student, we have to keep in mind, we have to gear this of what they're going to look at, not us. We're going to have a very different view. And I think that this has resulted in better ability of students to find their career, because there are some careers that do bleed over. They're not cut and dry. But and by limiting that, I feel we're going to hurt ourselves. And just that definitely we have to keep the abilities and options open for students to have all the access they need for the information for this.
Mm-hmm. So are you in favor of listing it in multiple areas? I see yours is under human public services.
Well, and actually mine's wrong. So fire and EMT are supposed to be public service. EMT is also supposed to be a listed health career. So that's why I got to sit down with Susie. I got to see Susie next week, see if it's who I have to go to fix this.
Mm-hmm. And that was the question I had, is where this was being pulled from. I'm told it's pulled from, I'm not mistaken, Susie, it's pulled from the web page that lists the pathways. Is that correct? I don't know, Susie's on mute. I
Yes.
muted her too.
It's pulled from the webpage, the programs of study, but it's just rearranged differently.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Sue, please.
So not only check this list to make sure your programs are where they should be and what you want, please also check your websites on the web page for Triton to make sure your pathway is correct and it doesn't need any revisions. Again, are there new electives you're putting in your program, or are there courses that have been deleted? That's important that you keep that updated as well, because nobody is checking each of the websites on their own. So program sharers should be looking at their websites to make sure they're correct as well.
Actually, Sue, I've got a question for you because I'm actually looking on the website now. On our web pages for our programs, the pathway study is not listed on our web page. Is it supposed to be?
I'm opening a web page right now so people know what we're talking about.
I'll wait and see what
This is great. I'm like homeless right now. I'm completely moving offices once again. This is ridiculous. Okay. I'm trying to, did I just log myself out?
No.
Oh, you're still here.
Okay. I'm trying to show one of these pages.
So Bill, I just opened your web page. No, it doesn't list the area of study. But
Okay.
what I am asking you to do is to now open up each one of those certificates or degrees, Bill, and make sure everything is correct in that.
Oh yeah, no, I knew that. I got confused.
Because when you open that up, it'll actually show the human and public services link there. When you open up each of your programs, it will. It'll list out the program.
Okay,
Sue,
so,
is this the type of page you're looking for them to review?
Yep, right there.
Okay. What I do for mine, I type in the title of my program, and then it brings me to the page that says exercise science transfer, and then I click on that. And you can see on the page that I'm at right now, you can see all the programs on the left-hand side. So we're in the Triton College catalog. I'm in arts and science, but you can see all the programs then listed. You could click on any of those. Excuse me. Let's see. Here, applied science and fire science, and then you see all the listings that we have. When I click on it, I think it doesn't open to a new page, so you can see, yeah. There we have it. So we were talking about having people review this at the first curriculum committee meeting in September, and this is what we want to make sure is accurate. So definitely by December, have looked over this. Contact the office, the curriculum office, between now and the December meeting if anything needs to be changed, and we could advise you if it has to be done in Watermark, or if it's a marketing change, we could do that with a web request. But Susie does need to be aware of all that.
Julianne, another area I think we might want to look at is on the web page, not our program web pages, but if you go academics /area/study, all of the pathways are there, and that I just found mine. It shows different from this one to what you're showing to my program page. So that's another area we may want to look at as well.
Okay, let me see if I can pull it.
I'll post the link on the chat board.
Do that for me. That'll be easier than me searching.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Juliana, I looked at both things for pre-nursing and nursing, and pre-nursing is listed under the pre-professional, not under nursing,
Mhm,
on
mhm,
web.
mhm.
So it needs to be
Yes,
changed back.
yeah, as it should be.
Okay.
So, Bill, direct me. What were we wanting to look here?
So like, if you put your cursor over one of them, you can hit it and it'll list all the program areas that are supposed to be there.
Yep.
That list deferred to actually my actual specific program page as well. So both of these have the same information, but they're both some of them are a little contraindicating of each other. So we need to make sure that that information is correct too. So it's like on here it shows that it'll take you to there, but if you look in there, this one shows EMT as part of health science, but on my program page it does not show it. So these two, we got to make sure that this list has all the right program areas as well.
Yes, that is correct. And this is where I did find, again, check it. I don't have time today for everybody to.
No, I'm not. Yeah, I know. I'm just.
Yeah, everybody to tell me each error that they're finding, but we will find them and we will update them. Just make sure you let Susie and I know, and we will direct you if it's a mark, like I said, a page request, or if it's something that needs to be changed in the catalog.
What page is that? Where do you find that page?
Areas of study. If you go to the search bar,
actually, Bill posted it for you in the chat box.
Yeah, it's just under academics.
The other thing I would point out to you, and I think it's time for us all to revisit guided pathways. Part of our website uses the word pathway of study, programs of study, and another part uses area of studies. So, and we're all using that terminology interchangeably. It was supposed to be areas of study. Somehow along the way, it's been changed to programs of study. So please note that there's going to be conversations coming forward about revisiting guided pathways to make sure it's correct. And if we're all not using the same lingo amongst ourselves of those that work at the college, I can only imagine students coming here are getting confused as well when people are using all different terminology. So there will be a revisit by the campus of guided pathways. It was never meant to be a one and done. It's a living initiative, but also how do we make sure that it's correct and we're all using it appropriately?
Okay, thank you. All right, and we're going to move on. Let us know when you find something that needs to be updated. We're going to move on to the last other item for the day, which was brought to the committee's attention last month, but I wanted to give more time for discussion among faculty and deans about the type of prerequisite we have on courses. Knowing that the state of Illinois does not want too many prerequisites on courses that don't need them. Math and rhetoric, we understand there has to be, even as Sheldon brought forward today, there has to be prereqs on science, but just think about what Sheldon said earlier. When we have language on prereqs that might be confusing or prereqs that may not be necessary, all it will do is add more paperwork to the process to get enrolled, and we want less barriers for students to get enrolled, not more. That noting, we do need prerequisites on some courses, but what was brought to our committee's attention was should any classes have a prerequisite and then also have or consent of the instructor on that course. So let me give you an example. Here it would say, let's say the prerequisite is Rhetoric 101 or consent of the instructor. So there's pros and cons to everything. My opinion is the least amount of prereqs as possible is better in many cases. So as just Julianne Murphy's opinion, if the prereq is optional, then just don't have it. That's my opinion, not the committee's opinion, not the school's opinion. That's my opinion. But we need to have a little bit of discussion. Should the or consent of the instructor be added after a prereq? So I'm just going to open this up for a few minutes. We have about 15 minutes left in the meeting for discussion. Michael.
In my department, it's of course very cut and dry, but because a lot of people have come to me and asked questions about prereqs when setting them up, and I've had students that have had to go through this. I would say that if you're signing the petitions without hardly even reading them, you always say yes or you always say no, get rid of it. I think the only time that, if there can be exceptions where it's really like, no, I have to have this question, and maybe that question should become the prereq instead of the course. But if you're, if it's like almost an automatic that everyone who needs the petition gets turned down or gets accepted, get rid of it. Just say you have to have this and don't add that, or get rid of the prereq altogether, which is probably what we're talking about more often here. Prereqs that aren't really prereqs. They're more things people would like to see but don't insist on seeing. And then I think you just don't have. You can, I mean, in Bill Decker's department, they in the description said that they, it would be good to do this, but they got rid of the prereq just for that reason, because they really weren't insisting upon the writing level that they were looking for. So they just said, we'd probably do better if you have this, but they don't, you can register without it.
Mm-hmm. Right. We want, we don't want to put barriers in place for the students, because one of two things will happen. Either they see the prereq and they don't have it, and then they just don't enroll in the class at all and don't make any more effort to get into that particular class at all if they're doing it themselves, or they're going to just bombard the department chair with, can I get in, can I get in, can I get in? So it's something that has to be thought about from the department chair, from the faculty of the course. What are we willing to do, and can we get rid of barriers for students? Actually, I'm going to go with Denise really quick, because I just have a feeling that she's going to make an important, concise statement, and then I'll go in Tiffany.
I agree. If we're looking at this in the lens of not trying to add a barrier, I personally don't see adding or consent of an instructor helping to align with that. I feel like the prereq or consent of an instructor is both the same thing. Even if it's a student not trying, a lot of times we don't really have students not trying to meet a prereq, but one thing we have noticed that now when it's solely to an instructor and trying to find that instructor or waiting for an instructor to respond, we're kind of in the same boat of a barrier, in my opinion. And depending on when these requests are in and what time of year, and if instructors are even available, if they're on campus. So I'm not sure if or consent of an instructor is fully helping to align to alleviate barriers, or if it's just an additional barriers at some prereqs.
Thank you. Antigone?
Hi. This came up because I had a student who had a situation, and I said it's fine. I'm the instructor and also the chair, but I never had anybody say no, and I did. So for me, it's like, well, as the person who has to be burdened, I will say, the instructor with the allowing a student into a course or not allowing them into the class. If I say as the instructor it's okay, then I don't see why my chair or my dean or anybody else who doesn't carry the burden of taking on the student in question matters, because we have students who come to us who have challenges, whatnot. They know they can do stuff. They'll ask, hey, can I do this anyways? They'll have these conversations. And I was an example of such a student. My husband was an example of such a student. I think people on this call also fit this profile, where they ask the question and they're given the opportunity and they prove their worth, and then they're given credit, of all things, depending on the quality of their engagement, of what the prereq could have been. We have students from other countries, we have students from everywhere, and they come with skill sets that are not always visible on a transcript. They're not always visible on just an email. When we have conversations with them. We need to be respectful on the subject of removing barriers. And when somebody sees a prerequisite, it's like set in stone, versus where they see that potential opportunity of consent of instructor. Hey, I have an opportunity. I'm going to go question this person and see, hey, can you please let me in your class? I have this background, I have this, I know these things, I can show you what I can do. And that opportunity, I don't think people know that it exists. Those of us who stood up to situations when we were students, authorities, I will call it, were able to get things done that other students looked at us and says, how did you do that? I said, well, I asked. But a lot of people don't know to ask, and they don't know to question.
Antigone, here's my question to you. Antigone, here's my question to you. And you know my opinion on this.
Oh,
Just
yeah,
get rid
I
of,
took
just
the
get rid of
prereq
the prereq.
off.
Just get rid of the prereq. See,
Actually,
again,
that's what I did.
to Michael's case, there are classes that absolutely need the prereqs. But if it's a class that does not absolutely need the prereq and it's mandated for the prereq, in my opinion, give the student the opportunity to either fail or to pass. So you just take a hard look and say, do I really need this prereq? When I came in as department chair, I got rid of a lot of prereqs on our courses. Even if a student gets in and is struggling, we have support for them. However, you really have to make that decision. The faculty, the department chair have to have hard conversations to say, do we really need a prereq or not? And if it's not absolutely essential and you think you're going to sign consent of the instructor, yes, 90% of the time, I would just say get rid of the prereq.
Well, the crazy part is it isn't 90% of the time, and that's the annoying thing. It's infrequent when it occurs with us, but it is definitely an option there. I just haven't been denied in the past and didn't feel the need that I had to have it in writing. That's the only change. But my solution was to take the prereq off the course that in question. But there are certain classes that we do have that need it because students will come in with an acumen and capable of doing, for example, software class. So they might not have on paper the prereq for the course, but they know how to use, they feel they can be ready to take,
right,
for example, Inventor or SolidWorks. So we need the option for some classes where we're getting some green kid out of nowhere who doesn't even know how to do a detail drawing. They need to take the detail drawing class. But if we have someone who comes in who's a degreed engineer from another country, this is a common occurrence for us, why waste their time?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Thank you. Sue?
Thanks. So I kind of have the same opinion of Julianne. If you need a prereq, it should be on there. If you don't, remove it. But if you are going to go this route, I would encourage you not to have consent of the instructor. I would have it as the chair. The reason being, we had an example of somebody in health careers who was an adjunct. A dual credit student walked in and said, oh, can I get in this class? They said yes. They didn't know anything about the fact that it has to go through the early college office, and it became a large rigmarole as far as how we got that student in. They should have been in the class. And I understand adjuncts don't know all the rules here that we have at the college. So I would really say it should be the chairperson as opposed to the instructor, especially if we're working with an adjunct instructor. Not to disregard what they're thinking, but sometimes there's rules where we can't do things.
Yes, I agree to that. So that the individual instructors aren't one saying yes, one saying no for the same course.
I would also say I believe there's a little bit of an equity issue here. There are people that will never come forward and ask for this and probably might be qualified for it. And so again, you either accept everybody or you accept nobody. I think it's hard when you start making allowances because I don't know what judgment and how has it become equitable and objective to some of these things.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I would just add to that, I agree, Sue. I would just add to that, like clearly if it's a 200 level height, you have to have the basic skills before you get in the 200 level class. Okay. But if it's a 100 level class, I'm under the impression that unless it's absolutely necessary, let them get the opportunity to pass, let them get the opportunity to fail. We have a lot of support for those that are entering if it's a 100 level class. So I think we cannot, as a committee, make a decision to say, yes, we're doing this or no, we're not doing this. It really has to come from the departments. And I would say put it in this frame. Unless it's absolutely necessary, I wouldn't do it. All right. And other members of the committee, please, if you have an opinion on that, if it's absolutely necessary, yes. But if you're going to let people in, it's not absolutely necessary. Give the students the opportunity to succeed, to get in the class and do it, and take the support we have at Triton. Any other comments on this? The committee would be happy to, if anybody in the future brings forward a particular course and needs guidance on whether or not the prerequisite should be in place or taken off, we could certainly have a conversation on an individual basis, and we'll put that on the agenda as other items if you need help in deciding. But I would say start with the faculty of the department, then bring it to the chair, and if more further discussion needs to be happening, then the department chair and the dean. We still need to help. The committee will assist. Okay. Thank you. Are there any other announcements for the curriculum committee today from anyone? Okay, then I am going to make a motion to adjourn 3/23 on November 7th, 2024 meeting. Can I have a motion to approve the adjournment?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Okay. Thank you very much, everyone. Have a great evening. I'm going to stop the recording. Thank you.
Julianne?
Yep, I'm still here.
Yep, okay. The thing with software is like on par to, let's say, taking Word or Excel. Taking a class in CAD versus taking the blueprint class. CAD is just a tool. And if I remove the prereq for it, they're going to be using the tool depending on who it is. They're going to be blind. It's going to be a very, very poor approach. But if I have a degreed engineer who comes, that's why the prereq of 110 is there. But if I have an engineer who comes in, who looks at drawings, they just want to take a CAD class to upgrade their skills, I don't want to be stonewalled from allowing that person to take the class because they didn't take 110. And why should they submit their official transcripts and all this other red tape?
But do you feel that essentially you have to have the 110 as a prereq? It's absolutely essential.
It's pre or co-req is how we have the stuff to the CAD classes, because depending on they can take it concurrently, but if they're a completed degreed engineer off in the field, that's what I have. I'm dealing with people who know what they're doing.
Yeah, it's almost to the point of that whole credit for prior learning.
Correct. That's exactly what it is.
Take the place of prereq. You can have or consent of the chair. We're not saying as a committee that we won't accept that a consent of the chair. You could, but my recommendation is get rid of as many prereqs as possible, and those that are needed, put it on there. Put the prereq on, and then if really you want to do the or consent of the instructor in lieu of the prior learning, we're okay with that. But I like to see people in my classes giving the opportunity to succeed.
Exactly. You know? So do I. And I think I took it off of all the other classes. I just left them in the CAD classes because they were the ones that seemed, I mean, they're of all the classes that would, I took the prereqs off the other classes, the ones that are sticky. I don't care. Fine. We just take it off and we're done. But when it comes to the CAD, I left, those are the only classes I put the, or consent. We can change it to consent to chair. That's fine. But that one is the most common historically and the most logical to leave with a consent of instructor option, so we can avoid, you know, any. I've never had a problem with this before. It just happens to be now. So it never was a big deal. It just became a big deal this semester. And I just want that big deal removed.
Denise, we just concluded, Denise, and there wasn't much after that. So thank you.
That's all.
Okay, sorry.
Just, yeah. Denise and I deal with this as well. You know, if they come in from another country, they know what they're doing. Just move them into the class they need.
Right, and we're looking at a little bit of that prior learning credit, and things change. I said curriculum is constantly changing.
Yep. And I'm working on
make it as easy to succeed as possible.
Yeah, and I'm working on the prior learning or credit by testing. I mean, I do that, but typically I let them take the class, and if they can show proficiency, then I give them credit
Right.
for the class that I waived them. But how do you explain that on a form, right? How do you explain that on a curriculum? Because it's too black and white. It doesn't allow for the in betweens.
Well, certainly, if you're submitting curriculum,
That's my
for the
next
school,
question. I submitted to POMS,
right?
so what's going on with the stuff I did? More
Susie, do you
importantly.
know what's going on with ENT?
I didn't get to them yet. I'm getting to them.
Did the dean approve?
Some of them are and some of them aren't. Have her go out there and take it in and check and see what workflow they're in and see which ones are not through the dean yet. Some he did approve and sent to me.
Oh, Antigone, you could go back on the watermark, and if you look on your dashboard, there'll be a place where it says the workflow, and you can see what stage the workflow is in. If it says dean, then he hasn't approved it yet. If it says curriculum office, he probably approved.
Yeah.
Susie said some are approved and some are not.
Have her check the syllabus too. Did she just no.
Go back and watermark. Is that what you're telling me to do?
Can you hear me?
Oh.
Can you hear me? Can't hear. Can you hear me?
I can't hear you guys.
Oh.
Just have her check the syllabus too.
I'm
And the courses. What workflow?
Antigone, can you hear me?
Okay, that's right.
We're losing connection.